Hello, you incredible go-getters. Welcome back to another episode of Breakthrough the Better, the podcast where we turn life's lessons into stepping stones for personal growth. I'm your host, Busy Babe, and today we are venturing into a vital topic that will reshape your journey towards self-improvement, setting goals and measuring progress. In life, having a vision is significant, but knowing the path to achieve it is what makes the real difference. In this episode, we're diving deep into the art of forming achievable goals and the importance of tracking your progress. So sit back and get ready to learn how to set your sights high, chart your path, and celebrate every milestone along the way. Let's dive into the power of purposeful goal setting and progress measurement right here on Breakthrough the Better. P.S. We're doing a giveaway raffle every week starting next week for those that leave reviews and comments below. This week's giveaway is brought to you by Layered Jewelry, affordable, stylish, quality pieces that let you express your unique style. This week's winner is getting a piece of their choice. All right, let's get into it. I love making goals, or I should say, I have a hate-love relationship with making goals that is slowly turning into mostly love, and I'll tell you why. I always thought that you should make goals and make them achievable and realistic. And that way, you won't fail because there's more of a chance of you hitting that goal than not hitting it. And then you don't have to be like a dog, with your tail between your legs, right? But over the years, from many, many people and many successful people, I've learned that the only way to really succeed in life is to make your goals so insanely big that even if you don't reach them, and odds are you won't, but you'll still spread yourself even farther than if you were reaching for a realistic goal. So let's put this into perspective. Let's say that you are in a booth and they tell you that as much money is going to be flying in there, and whatever money that you can grab, you can keep, right? No taxes, no gimmicks, no fine print. Just take whatever money you want and keep it, right? And I'm pretty sure if you went in with a realistic goal, you would be like, you know what? I just want to be able to grab about $1,000. And let's say they're all 100 bills, right? So that's just 10. 100 bills, you get $1,000. You say, I think that's pretty realistic for me to do. And so you do. You do grab 10 because that's what's in your head. You're like, yeah, I'm going to grab 10. So you go in there, you hit your goal, you grab 10, you got $1,000. Now, think about another person who goes into that same booth with a big, huge goal that really isn't that realistic. Let's say they say, you know what? I want to grab $1 million in there. And you probably look at that person like, are you crazy? How could you possibly grab, and my math is totally off right now, so please forgive me on this one, but I think it's 1,000. I think it's 1,000 $100 bills. I'm totally wrong on that. I'll do the math later, but you get what I'm saying. So it's an even bigger number to grab, which makes the task much more difficult. And at that point, you go in, or that person goes in to that booth and just starts going crazy because they're like, I got to get all of this because I have to get my goal, and my goal is crazy, so I got to work even harder and faster, and just like, very focused, very just taking action, not even thinking about what if I don't hit it, but just, going for it. I bet you that that person will grab a lot more than the person who only went in thinking, I'm just going to grab 1,000. I bet you anything that that person grabs way over 1,000, maybe 10,000. Did they meet their goal? of a million? No. But I bet you that they grabbed a lot more than they had going in. And I think that that's a lesson here, is that when we make our goals, yes, we want to make smart goals. And if you know what smart goals are, they're, sizable, they're measurable, they're attainable, they are, goals that you can define. They're timely, right? They're just goals that differ from people who say, in 2024, I want to lose weight. Whether you lose a pound or you lose 100 pounds, you reach your goal, right? But if your goal is, I want to lose 20 pounds by February 28th, 2024, that's a very, very succinct, attainable, reachable, measurable, just all around, good goal to have, because when February 28th rolls around and you haven't hit your 20 pounds goal by that date, you didn't hit it. If you did, you hit it. There is something there that you can say yes or no to. So, while we want our goals to be very specific and able to measure if we hit it or not, and I know in SMART goals it says attainable and reasonable, but I'll let you in a little secret. SMART goals are just there so that you know what you're going towards. That's it. But if you want to get goals that get you to massive growth and to actually move your life ahead, you need to make them 10x. Or if you're not comfortable with 10x, because I know that's what Grant Cardone says all the time, 10x your goals. But if you're not comfortable with 10xing things, take your goal and double it. And once you're comfortable with taking your goal and doubling it, take your goal, double it, and double it again. I was just listening to this podcast where this guy was being interviewed. It's an Ed Milet podcast. He was talking about how 10xing your goal is a lot easier than doubling your goal. And, after I heard that, I was kind of intrigued. So I was like, how could that possibly be? But it's all a mindset thing. You will do a lot more if you know that your goal is big and scary. You will take action. You won't care about the failures or the messing ups. It's the idea of becoming that person that gets that goal. And you have to fall in love with the journey that follows for you to reach that goal. Or not even reach it, but come close. Because goals don't have to be hit every time. If they're hit, raise them the next time. But if you don't hit it, it's not the end of the world as long as you grew. You grew your production, or you grew your revenue, or you grew your time, or you grew your yourself. Like, as long as some part of your life or some part of you grew, that's amazing. And no one can take that away from you. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about goals. There is a very important factor in reaching those goals, and that is writing it down. So, there's a study done, a Harvard study. I'm going to mess up the exact percentages, but let's just say that all the people who came out of that graduating class who had no goals ended up making the least amount of money. The people who had goals but didn't write them down ended making up about 2 times as much as the people, 2 or 3 times as much as the people who didn't have goals, right? Which, is kind of common sense, right? If you have goals, you're going to make more money than if you don't have goals. But where it really amps up is that if those people who have goals and they took it one step further and actually wrote them down, they actually ended up making like 5, 10, something around there times the amount of money as people who had no goals. And I don't know about you, but if all I have to do is write my goals down in order for me to increase the return on investment of that time and that effort, why wouldn't I do that? There is something psychological to writing your goals down. There's just something sacred about writing something down on a piece of paper. I can't put my finger on it. I can't explain it scientifically, but there is something about putting it down on paper and making it into a reality. It's kind of like how they say that something is created twice, once in the mind and once in the physical world, where your goals are created in your mind, but then once you write them down, they're created into the physical form. And if you can take a look at that goal and take a look at it every single day, most people will tell you look at it 3 times a day, right? Every single day, in the morning, in the middle of the day, before you go to bed, read your goals. Because you have something called your articulating activation system, the RAS, in your brain. And all it does is it looks for things around you that they know, that the brain knows is important to you, or important to you reaching the goals that are important to you. So if you are in the market for buying a car, and you know you want a certain specific kind of car, let's say you wanted a red Ferrari, make it simple, you would actually see that car a lot more on the road than you think you have in the past. And it's not that you actually are seeing it a lot more, it's just your brain is leading you to see it more because it knows that it's important to you. So it's always been there. It's just you're now noticing it more because your brain understands that this is important to you. And so when you feed your brain the idea that something is important to you, you are more likely to find solutions to get it, or to hear conversations that will help things move along, or to get you whatever that object is. And I think that that ties in with the idea of writing your goals down, because the more you see your goals written down and it's seared into your brain will do everything it can to get you to achieve those goals. It'll notice things that you didn't notice before. It will come up with solutions to things that you didn't have the info for previously. It will introduce you to people that you need to execute the plan that you need to execute to get there. And it's so cool that your brain is a supercomputer, but it's even cooler that it's a supercomputer that's literally working for you. And I know I've talked about it in the first episode about how, the power of better thoughts, and how, you want your brain working for you and not against you, right? But the best way you can do that is by helping yourself with these goals written down and keeping yourself focused by looking at them over and over and over again. And I love that because it's so simple to do. So simple to do, but yet so easy not to do. And that's what separates people from the very successful from the just okay, is that they're willing to do things that others aren't willing to do. And if you just make that little bit of effort, you can see so much more return on your investment in time and effort. And I love that. And on the topic of measuring your progress, you definitely want to know where you are at right now in terms of hitting your goal, so that you know what it takes to hit your goal. If I say that I want to lose 20 pounds and I don't even know what weight I'm at right now, how will I know when I lose 20 pounds? It seems very simple and commonsensical, right? But I find not many people have common sense. It's not that common. So when you are doing a goal, you definitely want to measure where you are at so that you have a bar that is the standard of where you were. And then you can measure yourself against that bar to see how far you came. And what's really important when you're going towards a big, crazy goal is looking back on how far you've come from the beginning. Because there are times when, you'll have your down times, you'll have your dips, you'll have your days where things aren't going the way you want them to go. But what helps turn those days around is by looking back and seeing how far you've come from the beginning. And the only way to do that is to document where you are in the beginning. And sometimes that's scary for people because they don't like to take a look at themselves and really look at where they are. But I urge you to work through that fear, to work through that uncomfortability, and to really take a look at yourself where you are today, because later it's going to serve you so much when you see how far you've come. And also, stacking those little wins on top of each other is going to help you go even farther and farther and farther and farther. And I absolutely love that you can see that progress. And maybe in the moment while it's happening, you can't notice how far you've come because you're so in it. But if you look back on your past, you can definitely see how far you've come and you can be proud of yourself. I think there's a song by, I think it's Boz Lerman. It's called Sunscreen. And I always love this song. It's not even, I don't know if I would classify it as a song. I guess it is. It's on a Now CD. If you can remember those. I think I'm dating myself. But he talks about how, as we're older and we look back on pictures of ourselves when we were younger, we think to ourselves, wow, I was not as fat as I thought I was, and it's kind of funny because I find myself looking back on my childhood pictures, on my, times when I felt insecure about myself, and I'm almost longing to be back in the position that I wanted to get badly out of. Like, I almost miss those times where I looked very healthy. I definitely weighed less. I had a lot more energy. And I think that in the moment we think we need to be somewhere quicker, or we compare ourselves to other people who have similar goals, and we can get really down on ourselves. But when we just take the time to look back on how far we've come, it's very easy to say to yourself, you know what? I am proud. I am proud of what I've accomplished in the past. Or if it's the opposite way and you feel like you were in a better place then, that's even more proof that you can get there because you've done it before. And I think that's a wonderful thing to work towards, is somewhere that you've already been, because you're the one leading yourself, and leadership is just going somewhere where no one else has been and leading them to that place. And so if you've already been there, you know the steps it takes to get there. You just have to put it to work. So when it comes to goals, whether it's a goal that you've hit in the past or a goal that is new and you haven't been there yet, just having a baseline is so important, because without that baseline, you feel kind of lost and you're not really sure if you're making progress. And if you don't know if you're making progress, it gets very disheartening and you just want to stop. And there's no reason to go forward. And that's a vicious cycle, because as soon as you stop going forward, you start going backwards. And if you ever read the book Slight Edge, is one of my favorite books of all time, because it really did change my outlook on the compound effect of just little wins adding up over time, and that there is no such thing as just being stable and keeping the same, because as soon as you stop trying to improve, you are getting worse. And that may sound a little morbid because you're like, do I always have to try? But think about this. Like, there is no other organism on this earth that doesn't stop growing until it dies. We are always growing. We are always changing. We are always striving to be better. And it doesn't always have to look like work, as in like going to work from 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are. It just means that you're trying to better yourself. And however that is, it could be exercising, it could be going for a walk, it could be dancing with a friend, it could be eating something that's healthier than what you usually eat, it could be starting a business so you have more free time, it could be trying to get a promotion so you can earn more money, it could be reading up on a skill that you want to improve. Whatever it is, it doesn't always look the same. And it might even be something that you enjoy doing. So don't shy away from things that require work, because to some, that work is play. So a lot of times people will go after very hefty goals and they'll say, oh, but like that's going to take a lot of work to do. I probably won't even bother, because people are lazy, right? I mean, we all inherently are a little lazy at the end of the day. We're all looking for shortcuts. We're all looking to get somewhere faster. But like I said before, successful people are willing to put in that work of things that other people aren't willing to do. And I think that's pretty cool, because if it were the opposite and everybody found it easy to put in the work, it wouldn't really mean anything at the end of the day. And then goals wouldn't really be goals. They just would be kind of just life. It wouldn't be improving. It would just be kind of, doing whatever it is that you do and thinking nothing of it, right? And so I think that goals can help you a lot, because when you have goals, it means that you are striving for something more. And when we're striving for more, it means we are thriving. And when we are thriving, we are growing. And when we are growing, we are living. Which beats the alternative of being stagnant, not growing, and dying. And I'll leave you with this quote. Gary Brecka, he is basically like a body hack specialist, biohack specialist. And something that he says really struck a chord with me, because it wasn't so much just around health, but more as a life lesson in general. And he said that disease is the seeking of comfort, the aggressive seeking of comfort. And so, what makes us comfortable? Not changing, not putting in the work, not staying the same, or staying the same. But what helps us to grow and live and prosper is to seek the uncomfortable. And the only way you're going to push yourself to do that is if you have goals to hit. Otherwise, why would you put yourself in those uncomfortable positions? For what purpose? So just when you're writing out your goals, just keep in mind that it is very important for you to have that baseline, to make them bigger than you could ever dream, and to make them very specific and in a timely manner, so that you know exactly where you're going and when you're going to get there, so you know whether you succeeded or didn't succeed. And if you didn't hit it, but you still move forward, great. If you did hit it, great. Now, make it even better next time. So I'll leave you with that. And thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. I appreciate it. So that's all for today's episode of Breakthrough to Better, guys. I hope you found some insights and inspiration from our discussion. And as we continue exploring life's lessons and turning them into those stepping stones of personal growth, um, just really appreciate the viewership. And if you enjoyed this episode, please spread the love, share it on your social media channels. Let's inspire others to also strive for their betterment. And be sure to tag the podcast, use the hashtag breakthrough to better. Every share, every comment, every review helps us reach more people and make a wider impact. So until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, when we get better, the world gets better. See you later.